Who would you cut and who would you keep on today's episode of Locked On Blues?
Hey, this is Brayden Shen. Subscribe to Lock On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I'm your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode of Locked On Blues, I decided to put all of us into Doug Armstrong's spot because it is keep or cut day where we break down the players on the Blues and if we think that they would be beneficial to continue to have, as in keep, or if you want to trade them, then you cut. So again, an interesting episode because it's going to give us a perspective on what the general manager has to go through. And besides that, on what are the weak points of the team. I know I've come on this podcast and I've said for weeks now that I want the Blues to get rid of Justin Folk and Nick Leddy. However, I think it's easier said than done. And with this episode today, I hope you can kind of see where I'm heading towards in my preference of what I think the Blues should do. So let's get into today's episode of LOB. So when I look at the St. Louis Blues, and I'm going to start with the centers, okay? Because I think it's really important that we start with positions and we work our way through that. We look at Robert Thomas, right? And his contract ends in 2030. But here's the thing. He makes about 8.1 AAV, which, again, is the most alongside Jordan Kyrou. With how Robert Thomas has been playing, I believe that you should extend him even further past the 2030 season. I know that's a little bit away, and I'm getting ahead of myself. However, this is a franchise player. I don't see him going on any other team. He's a Blues staple. And if you want to cut Robert Thomas, then I have to ask you, are you actually a Blues fan? Because no Blues fan is going to want to get rid of Robert Thomas. It is called Robert Thomas season for a reason, my friends. And the Blues put out stuff today, like statistics on him. And I replied and I said, it's Robert Thomas season. And then Robert Thomas the Tank replied and said it always is. And that's because it always is. So I feel like we're starting off kind of easy today on what we should do. But I would even extend him past his contract, which expires in 2030. We have Jordan Kyrou. And Jordan Kyrou, again, is another player getting paid that 8.1 AAV. And his contract also expires in 2030. So kind of adjacent exactly to Robert Thomas. Only difference is that at the age of the signing, Thomas was 23 and Bruzy was 24. With Jordan Kyrou, I'm not going to say extend him past 2030 yet. With Robert Thomas, we kind of know what we're going to get out of him. Now, with Jordan Kyrou, I still believe that he is a very valuable player. And he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. But when it comes to Jordan Kyrou, you have to keep in mind that he scores you goals. He gets the assist that needs to be, done. The one thing about him that's so shaky and that makes fans so hesitant is his turnovers. So once he's able to fix that, I think all of the Blues fans are going to be on board with keeping Kyrou. So I'm going to say keep. Next up, we have Captain Brayden Shen. And again, that's our captain. And his contract comes to an end in the 2027 season after that concludes. So right now he's at 6.5 milli AAV. I think that is a little high, in my opinion, for Shenner. However, at the end of the day, he adds a lot more value to this team besides his skills on the ice. Again, he's excellent when it comes to the faceoffs. Now, I don't think that he should be in the 2C position. And this is something that you and I have talked about on this podcast for a long time now. We talked about where he would be better suited. I think that Captain Braden Shen would be better suited on the third or fourth line. I know that it's like a little weird, like the idea of having a captain on the fourth line, but again, that's not a negative. You want to put players in the best position for success, and that is why I believe that we should keep Braden Shen. Excellent in the locker room. He's a well-liked guy, and again, he's a vet, so no, you're not going to cut him. Next, we have Foxa. And this, to me, is an interesting one. I am intrigued about Foxa. Do I think that Foxa is showing me growth? Yes. Do I think he is the best potential player that the Blues could have on that fourth line? And the answer is no. I would not be upset if the Blues cut him. So this will be my first cut. I think he had a great, and I want to emphasize this, a great season for what it was. But again, if you're going to move Braden Shen down or whatever, I just can't justify Foxa over Sonny, in my opinion. All right, next up we have Dylan Holloway. Obviously, you're going to want to keep Holloway. You're going to have to look to extend him soon, right? I really like Dylan Holloway. I saw the video that the Blues posted today of Jake Neighbors and Dylan Holloway playing like a little putting game. And Holloway looks good. I mean, like, obviously we didn't see how he is physically, but I'm hoping that he recovered from surgery and is feeling well. Dylan Holloway is such an underrated player. He is. And maybe that's just because here in St. Louis we have a smaller market, but I believe it would be the biggest mistake to cut Dylan Holloway. If you had to cut one of the two guys from the offer sheets, I would go with Philip Broberg. Still think he's good, obviously, but I just would prefer to have my Dylan Holloway. Hollywood Holloway for a reason. We have Texier. I thought Texier had a fine season. Again, this is another player that I wouldn't be so sold on and I would cut if we were able to get a better player. But again, like, I didn't think Texier played horrible at all. I just don't think he's like the shining star. We have Zach Bolduc. And again, this is hard for me because right now you have to keep him because you need to see what he's going to be able to do beyond his rookie season. If he doesn't continue, though, to make strides to where he was supposed to be as this like all-star kind of rookie in a way, obviously he's not a rookie anymore. You're going to have to cut him eventually, but for now it's fine. Oscar Sundqvist, keep. I was very, very definitive on that one. Sonny is St. Louis. And I'm not even like saying that in a sense of joking, but he holds this team together. He plays so hard. One of the hardest working players on the ice. And again, you can't get rid of Sonny. Like, I'm sorry, you can't. We're going to move on to defense. Oh, man, we have a lot of players on this team. Cam Fowler, keep Cam. I can't say anything bad about Fowler. I think Cam Fowler stepped up big time this season. Fowles made a huge impact on the Blues, and he doesn't get the recognition that he does deserve, so you're going to want to keep Cam. Colton Parayko, keep him. An elite defenseman, right? He signed through 2029. Again, I understand some of the frustration in the playoffs and at the end of the season, but don't forget he was hurt. Justin Folk, get rid of him, cut. Sorry, but like, cut. Torrey Krug, injured. We don't have to go anymore. Nick Leddy, cut. I'm sorry. I'm over it. I'm over the whole Justin Folk and Nick Leddy experience. Over it. Done. Bye. Philip Broberg. I'm going to want to keep Philip Broberg. Tyler Tucker. Keep for now. Kessel, cut, Suter, keep. Yeah, I like Suter. I want him to come back. I do. Even though the Blues don't express interest, I still want Suits to come back. But you know what I have expressed interest in? Oh, baby, what is it? Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shell variety. Why is that? Because it's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm stuck at my desk, at the pool, on a roadie, or I just need a little bit of a protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. I like to switch it up, okay? I'm a girl that cannot just pick between shells and no shells. So I get both. What do you get when you get a pistachio? Do you prefer the shells or a no shell? Let me know in the comments. I'm actually kind of curious. So this is what you need to do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So we looked at centers, we looked at defensemen. So it is time for you and I to look at our goalies and wingers. So with Jordan Binnington, he is a player that holds this team together. It would be stupid beyond belief to get rid of Binnington. You would have to be an idiot to get rid of Jordan Binnington. I know the rumors, oh, let's go trade Binnington. Maybe the Blues can get draft picks and this and that. I'm sorry, nothing is going to equal the value that Jordan Binnington can bring you. It is rare for a team to have such a great starting goalie that's been consistent. His rookie season, he basically was the reason why the Blues won that Stanley Cup. A lot of factors went into that. Call it a Cinderella story, if you will, but it was a lot on Jordan Binnington. So when I see morons, sorry, but that's what it is, say that trading Jordan Binnington could get value, no, you would be losing value. There would be nothing to gain value-wise by trading Jordan Binnington. It's idiotic. It's stupid. And if we're being even blunter and more transparent, it's insane. And again, I have my viewpoint, and I'm sure you have your viewpoints as well. But if I was a GM of a hockey team and I had Jordan Binnington, why the bleep would I get rid of him? Again, stupid opinion to get rid of him. Joel Hofer, interesting one, because again, he's an RFA and the Blues haven't done anything. And like, what's going on with Hofs? I would keep him. I would keep Joel Hofer and extend him. I don't get why the Blues are being so quiet when it comes to Joel. I feel like they're being very hesitant, reluctant. Maybe they're just trying to get a feel for the market, and so is he. But at the end of the day, you have such a good goalie tandem right now between Binnington and Hofer, and I just would not risk it by potentially allowing somebody else to come into our locker room, and by our, I mean the Blues', I'm not on the team, and potentially mess up dynamics. Goalies are weird, okay? We've talked about that before. Goalies are very weird guys, so if it works for them with them two, why mess that up? Why change any dynamic? Keep it how it is. I love Joel Hofer. I always will, and again, this is a player that I'm going to ride or die with, so we're going to want to keep Joel Hofer. Anyways, let's go talk about Bushi. I am a huge fan of Bushi. I am. I believe that a lot of people sometimes they're hard on him. And I don't like that, but that's the reality. I would keep him. I feel like he is still a very good player. He's going to be here until 2030 as it is, so what's the point? Mojo, Matthew Joseph. I like Matthew Joseph. This is another tough one. If you got Delta better player, obviously, but for now, I wouldn't actually get rid of him. See, this is hard because I feel like he does make the team better. Well, maybe I'm a little playoff minded still, right? Because he did a good job in the playoffs. This is tough. What would you do about Matthew Joseph? I struggle with this one. This was one on my notes because okay, so like behind the scenes, when I do my show, I actually plan out what I'm going to talk about and how I'm going to, explain everything. So I already put out who I'm cutting and keeping and why. With Matthew Joseph, I put a big question mark because I'm so split between him, cutting and keeping him. Jake Neighbors, keep him. Didn't have the best season, but I still like Jake Neighbors. Young guy, young part of the core of this team. Interested to see what he continues to do. The Aussie Nathan Walker. I love Nathan Walker, one of the hardest working guys on this team, besides Sonny. Player-wise, is he like the best player? No, but hard working, lots of hits. Again, you can't take away the hard work. Alexei Turchenko. This is a cut. And it's, again, I feel like it just comes down to that WTF line, and they were very successful. But if you're looking at the players individually and not what that line did, that's where I get a little bit reluctant, a little bit hesitant, and that's when I get a little bit in my head about, am I holding on to them for the right reasons? Or is it, it's hard. I think with this game, cut or keep, we kind of need to be open-minded that there might be better wingers, right? Better centers that could enter this organization. And again, I'm not even putting into account guys like Dvorsky or Snuggie. Like, obviously, keep them, like, obviously. But I think that with some of these older guys, you need to have a real conversation about why you're going to cut or keep them. I think with the goalie situation, and this is one that's even more interesting. I feel like I like Colton Ellis, but I just wouldn't mess that up. Like, I don't think there's any player that would equal the value of a Joel Hofer that would give you this excellent talent. I'm stressed. And I'm not even the general manager of this team. But right now, we are at June 4th. I believe it's the 1 month anniversary of when we lost. Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. My live stream mental breakdown was insane. But, it's interesting, right? Because I have in my notes just to talk about the decisions that are going to have to be made. I do have a lot of respect for Dougie A. I do. I just don't know if any move this offseason is going to be big enough to change some of the struggling points of this team, which includes the defense. And I don't know what value you're going to get out of a Justin Folk or a Nick Leddy. I don't even know if a draft pick, the 19th overall, will help at all with the value. I don't know. So with this game, when we talk about players that we might have to cut, those might be players that didn't do anything wrong, but you could package. I think it's going to be really difficult, unless you're just looking to salary dump to get rid of a Nick Leddy, of a Justin Folk. And again, I'm not on this podcast to be critical of these guys. Like, that's not why I do my show. I do my show to have daily conversation on the St. Louis Blues. I do my show so you and I can talk about what would be best for this team. Would a Matthew Joseph be best for this team? Would Alexei Turchenko be best for this team? Is a Nick Leddy best for this team? You might disagree with me on some of my takes. You might say, Haley, you can cut Sonny. I just have a really difficult time with Oscar Sundqvist. I just can't even go there. And that's how it is with Nathan Walker, too. I saw those guys all season. I'm just going to talk about this past season specifically. Work so hard, and they played hard. And when some of the other players look sleepy on the ice, you didn't see that from them, too. I just feel like you need to owe the players that have stepped up, honestly, for a multitude of reasons. But when you get rid of guys that are like the heart and the soul of the team, you're going to lose the team. You're going to lose the locker room. And that's how I feel about Braden Shen. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that don't necessarily like Braden Shen. To each their own, I guess. I don't agree with you, but to each their own. I just feel like when you make decisions like that, you're going to lose this team. Now, do I feel like a team like the Blues could survive without Bushi? Probably. Do I think that they would be better without him? No. I think there's some guys that may not be like the Mr. Personality of the team, but they still contribute in a lot of ways. And that is how I feel like Bushi is. So again, I know the frustration is real because I myself am frustrated by this team. A lot more than you think. Like, this is a daily thing. Like, I have a daily podcast. Obviously, if you watch my episodes and you tune in or you listen, you can hear my frustration because this is a team that has so much potential, but they're just missing a few key aspects of it. Of course, being the defense, the last minute goals. Like, yeah, there's things that the Blues need to improve on, like every other hockey team. But I don't want it to be a situation where we have a rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals again next season. I want it to be where the Blues are able to find themselves back in the finals. And that should be the goal. And if you're thinking, oh, well, it takes time. Okay, fine. I understand that. However, I want this team to be more productive. We had some really interesting and compelling hockey towards the end of last season. And as a fan who watches every single Blues game, I loved it. It was fun again. It was exciting. It was everything that it should be. So that is why I want you to let me know. Do you agree with some of my keeps or my cuts? Do you disagree? How do you feel about the decisions that I think Doug Armstrong should make regarding this current roster? Again, leave all of your thoughts, your concerns, your excitement, whatever it is down below. I'll talk to you more on tomorrow's episode. I cannot believe it's only Wednesday today. Feels like it should be a Thursday, but I will talk to you then. And like always, let's go Blues.